Hey YouTube, my name is Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to be opening up this box of Game Boy games which I imported from Japan. And right off the bat, you might be thinking, seriously, you got this giant box filled with Game Boy games? No, that's not the case at all. What ended up happening was, I bought a few Game Boy Advance games and one Game Boy Color game, and I ended up coming across something else that I did not expect to purchase. I ended up doing it as like a last minute kind of thing, so that's why this box ended up being so big. Because there was just one big box and all these smaller games, so the shipping would have been cheaper if I didn't get this other item. But it was pretty rare, it doesn't seem like it's a very common item. And so without further ado, I'm going to get to opening this box. I couldn't find my X-Acto knife, so I'm just going to try using this Swiss Army knife that I have to open this. Here we go. Do this side as well. And we'll see if it shows it right off the bat or not. Just take a peek. Oh yeah, you'll see it immediately the second I lift this, but this was the rare item that I got, and it is the Logitech Speed Force GameCube wheel. Now, why is this thing so rare? I'm frankly not sure, but one really cool thing is that you can use it with F-Zero GX, which is obviously the last F-Zero game to release on the GameCube. And it came almost complete in box. The only thing that's missing is this piece right here, which I think this is what would allow you to mount it to like a table or something. But it should work without it. This has the it has the wheel, it has the what's it called? This thing has force feedback, by the way, which is amazing. It has the force feedback power supply. It has what is it? It has like these interchangeable face plates, and it has the foot pedals as well. So this thing is basically almost complete. It's just missing that one extra piece that I don't know why it's not included, but. So that was the big item. That's what took up the most amount of weight and size. But everything else that I got, these are the other things. Okay, so the first thing that I pulled out are these two Japanese Kirby games. I'll be doing something pretty cool with that. One of them I just wanted because I didn't have it, but these two were bundled together. If I can get it out of the packaging. We got, let's see, this one is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror for the Game Boy Advance. And this one is Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, I think it's called, which is a remaster of one of the original Kirby games on the Game Boy Color, I think, or the regular Game Boy. And so the GBA version is like the most definitive way to play that game. The next thing that I pulled out from my box of goodies, you can maybe even see one down there already, but well, this one is sealed an interesting way, but it was the next thing I pulled out. The next thing, if I can get it out. Wow, this one was protected really well. Here we go. The next Game Boy Advance game that I will show off is Sonic Advance 2. I got that for 10 bucks. A North American copy typically goes for around 30-ish. The next one that I pulled out, these were sealed very well. Oh, this one's not even a Game Boy Advance game. This is something else I came across. Wow, this thing is tiny. And basically, since I was already ordering stuff from Japan, I scored this untested original Xbox communicator. So what this is basically, this is the device that plugs into the controller, which allows you to use a microphone to chat over the original Xbox Live. And before anyone asks, yes, these are supported on Insignia. The only issue is that this device uses a 2.5mm adapter as opposed to a 3mm, but I have compensated for that, and I'll be making a separate video on this entirely. So the next item in the box The next one I grabbed was, which it was already showing on the screen, is Sonic Advance 1. So I got the first and the second game. I unfortunately couldn't find the third game for a good price. They also go for about 30 on the market from what I saw. So I didn't snag the third game, but the first two should be alright to begin with. There we go. So there's Sonic Advance 1. The next thing I grabbed is this copy of Kirby Tilt and Tumble. And yeah, that actually looks really good. They described it as it like having flaws and stuff, but like this looks perfect. So yeah, the Japanese copies of Kirby Tilt and Tumble is significantly cheaper than if you were to buy a North American copy. I got this for like $9, and the North American copies are like close to 100. So I don't care that it's in Japanese, and it's not like you need to read Japanese to understand what's happening. It's the core gameplay that matters. And here's the other cool one. And the cool thing about Kirby Tilt and Tumble is that it has a gyroscope in it. So like you have to actually tilt the Game Boy to play the game, which is pretty cool. And following with the theme of that, the next item that I scored is this Japanese copy of WarioWare Twisted. So again, even though I cannot read Japanese at all, it doesn't really take much to understand what's going on with the microgames. And this giant bulge here is also a gyroscope. So when the minigames are played, you have to tilt the whole device in order to interact with the game, obviously. And now this is the last item in the box, from what I can tell. The last thing that I ordered. Yes, is this Japanese copy of F-Zero Maximum Velocity. So once again, there was no need to buy a North American copy for $30 when I scored this copy for $8. So now that I unboxed all the stuff, what I'm going to do is, at least for the Game Boy Advance games, I'm pretty sure there's no such thing on this copy of Kirby Tilt and Tumble, but for the Game Boy Advance games, yeah, so on here, there's probably no imprinted number. Not that I can tell. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away for a sec, and I'm going to bring all the GBA titles under a separate light so that we can see if there are those number imprints to see if these are legitimate copies or if they're repros. And if I can't see the number, then the next thing I can do is I can take apart the cartridges to show if they're legitimate boards or reproductions. So we're going to cut to that now. Okay, so now that we're in a better light, one thing I do want to say is that these two are probably going to be legitimate, Kirby Tilt and Tumble and WarioWare Twisted, because these games are probably less likely to be reproduced because they need the gyro sensors to function, otherwise they won't work. So these probably, it's a safe bet to say they're legit. I mean, even the board looks correct on this one. Obviously, I can't see as well with this one. It's got a tri-wing. I could probably take it apart, but there's really no reason to. Like, I'm pretty sure this is legitimate with all the markings and stuff. But the other ones, they could be fake. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to put them here in front of the camera. And you can see right here, right off the bat on this one, you can see that 20 right there. And if I took this one apart, you would be able to see that the board is also legitimate. Yeah, so just pulling this out, this lid. Yeah, that looks like a legitimate board. It doesn't have any black blobs. It has proper writing on it. Those MX chips were common when they made the GBA games. So I'm going to say that this one is legitimate. That is Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland was the first one. The next one we'll check is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. And yep, I see right there as well. There's the 20 imprint right there. So now I'm going to take this one apart as well, and it should be legitimate. Oh, and I think I got lucky with Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland, because I think there were 2 revisions of that game where one of them requires a clock battery to save the files. Some GBA games actually do require that. And yeah, this one also looks legitimate. But the one that I got for Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland looks like it just uses the standard SRAM type of chip. I think they call it SRAM. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check the name on that. But yeah, some early life GBA games required the clock battery to save the files. So something I learned when I was buying these games was that it's not just Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald that use clock batteries. There are some other standard GBA games that also use them. And Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland was one of them, so I guess I got lucky there. Now we're going to check out Sonic Advance. Can I see it myself first before I put it in front? Yep, I see it. 22A, right in the middle of Sonic's body. Right there. So if I flip it, and you unscrew the screw, it should be legitimate. So I took it out. There we go. And yeah, that looks good. Also no clock battery, so that's good. And this one I'm pretty sure is not supposed to have one anyway, but you know, it's good to know that so far most of these are legit. And these all came from different sellers. It's not like they all came from the same guy. I had to buy them from different people. And they all got shipped to the same warehouse that I was buying from. So we got 2 more to check, and that will be the end of the video for now. Oh yeah, this one I see right away, 34, right there. Right in Sonic's quills. Taking this one apart. I bet you this one's legit too, but, you know, it's good to check. Now, F-Zero Maximum Velocity should have a clock battery in it, and if I could bet any money, it's probably for sure going to be the stock one, which of course at this point will definitely be dead. And for anyone curious how I'm taking these apart, so I have a tri-wing screwdriver. If you want to remove the lid, you just push down on the cartridge a little and it should come right up. And this one looks identical to the first Sonic Advance, which is not surprising because they're pretty dang similar. Alright, last cartridge, and that'll be it for the video. Just putting the screw back in Sonic Advance 2. So here's F-Zero Maximum Velocity, which they call in Japan, they call it F-Zero for Game Boy Advance, but it's the same thing. So here's F-Zero Maximum Velocity. Yep, there's the clock battery. Huh, it almost looks like it may have been replaced. Nah, actually no, that's probably just the factory solder. But yeah, this is legitimate because it has the battery in it. So that's pretty nice, because Kirby's Nightmare and Dreamland could have had the clock battery, but I got one of the later revisions of that. So that's pretty nice. So I bought a bunch of clock battery holders for CR1616 because that's what it says these GBA games take. It says so on the board here. I was almost going to put this back together. Yeah, you can see right there. CR1616. Come on. There you go. CR1616. But I got lucky in that I'm only going to have to replace one clock battery from the looks of it. Which is fine because my copies of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald do not have the clock battery holders on them, so I'm going to install it on those too. But that basically wraps up this video. I'm going to make some smaller videos showcasing some of these for different reasons, just to make sure they work. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.